that the band really exploded in popularity, gaining an unwaveringly loyal following of vapid TikTok baddies and soy-suckling gent enthusiasts.
Today we are not doing an album ranking because, let's face it, I am just not a huge fan of this band. You can check out my previous review of Take Me Back to Eden. Was not a big fan of this album, but I am going to review the latest record, Even In Arcadia, and the results might surprise you. And we're going to take it track by track, getting right into it with Look to Windward. Now, I actually like how understated the opening of this track is, from the chill synth to the vocals. Normally I find his cleans to be incredibly try-hard, but here they really benefit from pulling back. And then the transition to the heavy part feels a bit more seamless than in the past. I still find the guitar work to be a little bit on the generic side, but with the layering of the little descending leads, it comes together quite nicely. It also does a decent job of keeping things moving along rather than dragging out a single idea ad nauseum, which is important for a track that is almost 8 minutes long. Next up is Emergence.
I've got solar blessed for your dead god, space dust for your fuel rods, dark days for your solstice.
The more low-key energy continues into this track, at least until it shifts into more of a hip-hop flow, which I normally complain about that, especially from groups like this, but I've been bobbing my head to this track quite a bit. It keeps things really tasteful, and frankly, when that start-stop distorted guitar kicks in the combination, I made this face. A little bit of a Deftones energy in there as well, and I am totally for it. Love the little sax part at the end too. Yes, I have no problem in saying that I think that this is a genuinely good track. So yeah, Sleep Token fans, I'm not the mindless hater you thought I was. I can recognize quality, I just hadn't really seen it yet. But next up is Past Self.
Are you gonna dance on the line with me? You know it's not a game or a fantasy.
And would you believe it, I like this one too. Love those twinkly descending synth lines alongside the frankly pretty infectious vocal performance. Great arrangement of the melody. I was bobbing my head to this one and goddamn near humming along. 3 minutes and 35 seconds too, just love it. Perfect length for a track like this. No wankery, no perceived head up its ass. Just a really solid pop track. Follow that up with Dangerous. This track's beat has a little bit of an Eastern flavor to it that actually reminds me of something that RZA from Wu-Tang Clan would put together, and I definitely dig that as well. Not as big a fan of the distorted portion here as it ventures back into the more kind of bland and generic Tory, but it's not bad either. Kind of giving me Deftones vibes again, but in this case some of their kind of lesser material. But again, at just 4 minutes and 11 seconds, it doesn't overstay its welcome either, so solid one. Big single here with Caramel. Honestly, this was the only track I listened to before checking out the full album. I wasn't particularly impressed with it at the time, but it has grown on me. The very music box sounding backing track reminds me of Radiohead's Kid A. Definitely a more uplifting sounding track for them, though not without its more melancholic moments as well. And once more, the screams are actually woven in way better than they have been in the past. It's like this great little squall of grief and rage amidst the otherwise tranquil sea. Then we have Even In Arcadia.
I am the final dawn.
Gorgeous piano here. Again, thinking about Tom York's more minimalist moments. Even if I'm honest, I still definitely prefer Tom's voice. But even so, I must say again that in comparison to the last album, it just feels like Vessel is doing a lot less putting on and just allowing his voice to do its thing without overdoing it. Always a sucker for a little violin too. Provider.
I wanna be a provider. Your guiding hand.
Now this track falls into some of the tropes of the last album I didn't care much for. The R&B vibes are a bit more cheesy, and worse, this feels ripe for thirst trapping from the more degenerate corners of this unfortunate fandom. Side note, I will say it's been nice to see more of the people who just enjoy the music disowning and disavowing these parasocial Coomer dweebs. Seriously, fuck those people. Far from a bad track musically, but it just takes me out of the album and back to these thoughts. At least it's better than that stupid, like, Do You Love Me song with the acronym. I'm not gonna even look up what it was or bother remembering how to say it. Damocles.
When the river runs dry and the curtain is cold, how will I know if I can't see the bottom?
Similar notes for this one as the title track. The piano work is beautiful and the vocals once more very well arranged. Good mix of sadness and happiness in the atmosphere. I dig. And another point against the fans who got mad at me last time for ad-homming that I just don't like pop music. Hey, retards. I just did a video on why I love Chapel Rowan. Again, I like pop music. I just don't like bland and boring pop music. Also, if anybody gets mad that I use the R word, I use it exclusively for like stupid people on the internet, not actually like intellectually disabled people. I love those people much more than you. Anyways, this album is honestly at its best when it has no metal elements, in my opinion. Then there's Gethsemane. Bringing out the falsetto for this one, which makes for a nice change of pace, made me realize that I would really love to hear more variation in Vessel's approach to shake things up. Also really loving the math rocky guitars, getting some like minus the bear energy. So similarly would love to hear more variation on that front too, as this is maybe the only point on the album where I actually found the guitar work to be noteworthy. Ending on another very Stephen Carpenter riff too. This may be my favorite song on the album. More of this, please. And then wrapping up with Infinite Baths. Decent enough closer, kind of ends things on more of a whimper with one of the less interesting ones, but nothing here I hate either. The metal part I feel is going for like a big final explosive climax, but I actually think that Gethsemane would have made for a better ending, while this feels like more of an additional and kind of unnecessary coda. All in all, I gotta say, I went into this expecting to hate it given my thoughts on Take Me Back to Eden, but front to back, it's pretty damn solid. Good songs that I actually find myself wanting to go back to, and I did today, actually. I was at the grocery store, my internet wasn't working, so I was like, screw it, I'll throw on this again, and I was jamming out to some of my favorites here. Strong performances that don't feel try hard but expand on their strengths, and probably most importantly, this feels like a very cohesive and well-paced vision as opposed to the more slap sounds together and see what sticks approach of the last album. Been a long time since I did my 3 rating scale, but applying them here, I give it a B for enjoyability. Overall, I was engaged most of the time, but they could still do more in terms of composition to make it more memorable. The vocals, again, in particular, are already just not my favorite style, but more variation on this front would go a long way, and I think they took some steps in the right direction here already. I give it a B for musicianship. The songwriting here feels massively improved, though the guitar work still is a little bit lackluster. I'd love to, again, hear more tracks like Gethsemane, where the instruments are really allowed to shine. And I give it a B, like a B- for innovation. While this still doesn't strike me as anything particularly new in the big scheme of music right now, I do think it shows some progression for them and their specific talents. So I'm going to give it a B overall, and a surprising recommendation for Sleep Token's Even in Arcadia. If you hate pop, this is still not going to be for you, but for everyone else, even the haters, I think it's worth your time.
You are the chosen one!
Y'all check out this video again for my review of Take Me Back to Eden, whatever the fuck that album's called. And check out this video for my thoughts on Chapel Rowan. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.